Hello, welcome back to my haunted library. It's Regina. Hope you're doing well. I hope you're feeling as good as I am feeling today because the weather is absolutely spectacular. I can't recall a more beautiful spring. Seriously, it's warm, it's beautiful, and today I celebrated my 6-month checkup for my broken collarbone when I was thrown off my bicycle back in November. I went on my first bike ride for the first time this morning in 6 months since the accident because I finally got the okay from my doctor. I went out and rode and it felt great. I've been keeping up with my walking, but it's not as fun as riding a bike and it takes twice as long where I go. And it just felt really good. I took my time. I was very careful. I went pretty slow, but I feel alive again is all I can say. So I'm happy to be here with you today. So just a little ketchup. What do I have? Ketchup? Any mustard? Anyway, that was a really bad joke, but I have a bit of a mini haul, and some news, and also a bit of an old school April wrap up, which is not going to take that long because I didn't read that much. So why don't we start with that? All right. That was quite an introduction. All right. I'll discuss what I read and then move on to some other things, but I did want to let you know that I did try to participate in Old School April. Maybe you did too, and you'll let me know that in the comments below. I was on the Scooby team. So I'm going to fill out the form today after making this video so I can help my team get points. So I didn't do too poorly. I just didn't have that much time to read. You know when it's like you try to carve out an hour or so a day, just 1 hour to read, which is what I've been trying to do. And sometimes you don't make it through the whole hour before you fall asleep. But anyway, I digress. So here's what I read, especially with this book, definitely kind of put me to sleep. Again, a little bit of a disappointment, but I will continue the series because I bought a bunch and I don't want them to go to waste, and I'm hoping they'll improve. And this one was Jane the Courageous, the book number 2 in the Catherine Kimbrough's Saga of the Fenwick Women. Okay, great cover. Not so much gothic romance in this book. It's more, as I mentioned before, a historical book. I may have even covered the whole thing on my last video. I don't remember, but it wasn't bad. It actually kind of improved at the end. It got a little more gothic, but it just, as a story, it just kind of lacks cohesion. You'd think in these books, especially something this short, it would have the cohesion of the single character, the single female protagonist and her romance and her journey and this kind of thing. And this doesn't really do that too much. It's kind of all over the place with this family. And it's a little strange, but I don't know. I think I enjoyed this one better than the first because my expectations were a lot lower. And next I read, and this is actually turning out to be really good, another gothic romance. I can't say I read the whole thing because I'm about halfway through. And this is The Emerald Tears of Foxfire Manor by Clara Wimberly. This is a zebra gothic from the 80s. I love these covers. They're really pretty. And I have another book by the same author. And I may have another one. I just couldn't find it right away. But this one is called The Ghostly Screams of Storm Haven by Clara Wimberly. Another really cool cover. So I'm enjoying this so much that I'm probably going to read this next. Of course, I have a lot of other things I want to read, but this is really good. This is set in the Civil War era. So again, we have a historical context, but it's more focused on the heroine and her love relationships, which is what we expect from Gothic romance. So I'll review this when I'm finished, but so far I'm really enjoying it. It's good writing. I'm kind of captivated, actually. So I'm going to try to finish this tonight, and so I can mark it off on my scorecard for my Old School April, because I don't want to cheat. And then I also read, the only other book I read is The Nancy Drew Files, case number 5, Hit and Run Holiday by Carolyn Keene, or whoever was posing as Carolyn Keene during this 1980s set of Nancy Drew news stories. A little bit of neon on the cover, I think that counts. And yeah, it was really fun. I love the original Nancy Drews and read them as a kid. I remember when some girl at school told me Carolyn Keene's really a man. And I was like, what? I don't really care. I just love the stories. And this kind of modernizes it. We still have Nancy and Bess and George. And this is like a spring break vacation. And if you can see, Nancy's like tied to the pier here, over here, and the water's rising. That scene is actually depicted in this book. So this was a fast, quick read. It took me a day or two. And I really enjoyed it. And I am going to now seek out more of this series. This is number 5. So I'm going to try to get the first 4 if I can. And add to my series. I really enjoyed it. Let me know if you know this series of Nancy Drew books and if you like them. Okay, and then the other thing I'm reading has nothing to do with horror, but I started the Andy Warhol diaries. When I was in Pittsburgh, I went to the Andy Warhol Museum and got really inspired. I watched the show on Netflix, and next thing I knew, I was buying it on Kindle. And it's an 800-page book. It's basically just his diary. It's edited, but it's really fascinating. And I know a lot of these characters from reading about Halston and the Edie Sedgwick book, which I loved when that came out back in, I guess it was the late 80s, early 90s that book came out, or maybe it was the mid 80s. I don't know. Let me know if you know that book. I think I'd like to get another copy because it was one of those books that I would bring to the beach with me and it just got completely destroyed. But I know a lot of these characters already and I'm really enjoying it, but I'm just kind of reading it a little bit at a time. And then I went to, last weekend was Independent Bookstore Day. So my friend James and I met up for breakfast and then we wandered over to the Bristol bookshop. I expected more of an event to be going on, but it was really not much happening. But I did buy a couple books. They had a sale, buy one, get one older one free. So I forget which was the new one I bought. It was probably this one. Anyway, I got 2 books by Ruth Ware, an author whose work I read before and I really like. This one's called The It Girl, and this one's called The Death of Mrs. Westaway. Westaway. I forget the ones that I read. I think I read 2 of her books before, or maybe just one. I don't recall, but I remember liking it. So, and it's like a mystery. I believe she's a British author, and yeah, good stuff. I have been wanting not only to get on my bike and garden and do spring cleaning, which I will be working on these shelves in the back this spring, coming up soon. I'll do a vlog about it. But I have had so much energy, creative energy to write, to work on bookworms. Speaking of bookworms, James and I are going to be at the Doylestown Book Fest this Saturday. I'll link the, what am I trying to say? The website below. If you're in the area near Philadelphia, South Jersey, come by and say hi. We're going to be peddling a few of my books, I guess, and bookworms. And speaking of bookworms, we're looking for submissions for the next issue, which will be our summer issue. And it's all about cryptid horror. So we're looking for Bigfoot and Sasquatch and Yeti. Are those 3 separate creatures? I was always a little confused about that. Maybe your stories can clear that up. Wendigos, Jersey Devil, Mothman, that type of mythical creature whom some people say they've actually seen. And I will be writing an article about the time that I and my husband Joe saw the Jersey Devil for real. It'll all be in this next issue that's coming out. So buy the current issue or any back issues that you might be interested in, and it'll all be linked below. And that's a great way to support the channel, is purchasing bookworms and also buying me a coffee. Because I'm a little hyped. I had coffee already today, as you can tell. But, you know, can never have too much. So also I picked up a John Saul book that I haven't read called Nathaniel. Little hardback copy of that. John Saul was definitely in the world of horror, like a Dean Koontz or a Stephen King back in the 70s when I started reading his books. And then he kind of moved, as a lot of them did, a lot of the authors did, into more mystery. And horror sort of just became a place that more indie authors got involved in, thank goodness. But I think this is more of a horror, I hope. And yeah, might read that one too. Every time I buy new books, I want to read them all. And I picked up a hardback copy of Heaven by V.C. Andrews, one of my favorite series. This one, I do have a few copies of this. Whenever I see a V.C. Andrews book in the wild, that's either a hardback or a paperback that's in good condition, I usually buy it, especially the early ones, because some I like to read and some I like to keep. So this is a nice copy of that. Gosh, I love that series. Another author from the 70s that's kind of been lost in time, which is sad because he was great and the books really hold up, is Thomas Tryon. This is a collection of short stories called Crowned Heads. It's all about Hollywood stars and a little bit of a Sunset Boulevard vibe, but yeah, we love that. There's the handsome Thomas Tryon. He was an actor himself and got tired of having directors push him around, and he said, you know what, I'm going to write. So gotta love that kind of spirit. So that's all I really have today. Like I said, if you're around this Saturday, and I'm going to try to get this posted before then, definitely check in to see us in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. We're going to have a little booth set up outside selling bookworms and chatting with people, meeting authors, meeting readers. So we always want to support that. And that's about it. So let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books, how your old school April has turned out, and anything else you'd like to add. I would, as always, love to hear your thoughts. So that's all I have for today. Thanks for stopping by my haunted library, and I'll see you soon. Bye!